Hello and welcome to Winterhelm Gaming. I'm Stock54,
I'm Soulreturn.
and we just got finished watching the Taken King Twitch reveal of the Dreadnought Strike Shield Brothers. And why don't we start off by saying what we think about it?
The strike itself seems like it's going to be an interesting thing, because obviously when you kill one shield brother, the other one gets the parts and becomes succinctly more powerful because it's united. And we didn't really see much. I mean, there was a Goliath tank, which is always interesting to see because we've only really fought those in one other strike, but it's still something exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that Goliath tank and it was inside of a building, and I always die as per my quota every single time I fight that thing outside, you guys better have revives ready for me.
Well, maybe the roles are reversed here, because you're outside, you die, inside, you don't die.
Also, what you were saying about the other brother inheriting what the dead one had.
Yeah.
The dynamics of that final boss fight are fantastic, I think, because I believe they said during the stream that they set out to go create a strike that is less of a bullet sponge kind of endeavor. And I definitely think they succeeded there in a large way.
Yeah, from the stream, what we could tell is it seems like those bosses went down easily, but it still poses a major threat with the reinforcements, and then, two becoming one when one dies. And from what I can tell, it's hard enough fighting the ranged one because he has a shield, and when combined with flight, it makes it even so much worse.
Yeah, the end boss of that should definitely be very fun. What I will suggest is anybody listening to this, Bungie will be uploading all of that Twitch footage to YouTube either later today or I'd say more probably tomorrow. So I would suggest you watch that, and we'll link it in the description when it becomes available. But today we're mostly here to talk about the new subclasses because they gave a really, really good in-depth review of just about every perk on all the subclasses. So
that's something I'm excited for.
Yeah, it was really nice being able to see everything finally kind of in its final form. The first one we're going to talk about is Sunbreaker for the Titan. And we're just going to start off with the grenades, which are the Fusion Grenade, which is the same one Sun Singer Warlocks have. The new one, which is the Match Grenade, which is not the Match Grenade, sorry, the Thermite Grenade. And it sends forward a burning line of fire, which kind of works like it's kind of like a thumper, where it will thump the ground, send forward a shockwave, and kind of do that a few times before it vanishes. And then their final grenade is essentially just the Hunter's first grenade, which is the Incendiary Grenade. And I think these grenades are pretty well suited for the Sunbreaker, considering we saw just how powerful it is in the strike footage.
Some of the abilities for the Sunbreaker Titan, it seems more of a ranged support class than most people would assume. It seems more of like a power build to others, but I saw it today as something that you would do to provide output damage and weakening for your allies to do more damage.
Yeah, the burn effects and everything, all the different amplified abilities that you get from standing in sunspots and all that sort of thing is very, very, very good. At least from the footage that we saw and the way that was being used, like you said, like a ranged kind of support deal.
Yeah.
Now the jumps on the Sunbreaker are pretty much the basic Titan jumps. There's lift, increased height, increased control, and catapult.
Still don't get blink.
Yet Titans don't get blink, which some people might say that's unfortunate, but I'm a selfish hunter, so I'm okay with that. Then you have the Titan Super, which is Hammer of Soul, which, when you use L1, R1 together to start your super, you'll basically instantiate a burning hammer of death, and you can either hit people with it, or you can toss them. The different abilities you can get for this are Forge Master, which lets you throw more hammers, and those hammers cause bigger explosions. There's Sun Charge, where you press R1 during Hammer of Soul to hurl yourself forward. Enemies in your path explode, chaining fiery damage to other enemies. And then there's Scorched Earth. Ignite the world, creating sunspots everywhere your Hammer of Soul impacts. Now, the one out of those that really sticks out to me is definitely Scorched Earth with those sunspots.
Yeah. And in the live stream, you'll notice that they use that quite a bit. I mean, Fruit managed to come up with the idea of tossing one down at his feet before he started, throwing them around so that he would have a barrier of protection between him and an enemy.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I mean, I honestly didn't even think about that until he did it.
Well, it's just another strat for those kinds of Titans now.
And when we move on to the melee abilities, the Sunbreaker Titan's melee is called Sunstrike, which is described as burning your enemies with a heavy solar melee strike. The perks for this are Melting Point, where you burn away your target's defenses. While burning, those targets are weakened to both you and your allies. There's Thermal Vent, where Sunstrike releases a solar explosion on hit. Kills create a sunspot that damages enemies inside. Stoke the Forge. Reduces Sunstrike cooldown. Getting a killing blow with Sunstrike instantly recharges it. Now, that one sounds like it could be a little overpowered, but we did get to see Melting Point during the strike, which is the one that lets you weaken enemies when you melee them with your Sunstrike. And I don't know if I remember specifically seeing them take advantage of that.
I think he meleeed one of the Shield brothers, but we can't really tell what kind of damage increase it does, because we didn't really get a good first-person look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it could be pretty powerful. Maybe not against a boss, like an end-level boss, like the Nexus Mind or Astor or someone like that. But, I would say it's probably pretty effective, like if you're fighting a bunch of majors.
Yeah.
Next they had all of the to be expected Titan codexes. They're all the same. And then we move on to some more perks, such as Flame Seeker, where your Hammer of Soul will alter its flight path to seek out your enemies, which sounds amazing for PvP situations. Explosive Pyre, where enemies felled by your hammer explode, chaining fiery solar damage to others. And Fleet Fire, where enemies felled by your fire grant you bonus agility and reload speed, and that stacks up to 3 times. Now, out of those, definitely in PvP, I think Flame Seeker would be your go-to. I mean, homing hammers.
Yeah, I mean, homing hammers, it's similar to the tracking with the Nova Bomb, I'm assuming, so...
Yeah, I can't figure it'd be, like, truth-like tracking.
No, that'd be way too much, but it's good that they're leveling out the playing field as far as stuff like that is concerned.
Now, the one out of those 3 that I'm not really sure about was that it's actually the one that they picked to use during the stream, which is Fleet Fire, where enemies felled by your fire grant you bonus agility and reload speed. I'm not sure about that perk, to be honest, because, I mean, how many times... I mean, it stacks up to 3 times, but how many times are you actually going to be able to rapidly kill... I mean, sure, if you have a lot of red bar enemies or something, and you have sunspots all over the place, but it seems just a little too situational to me. I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out, but...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that would be a very useful perk, honestly.
They went through another set of codexes, just like the ones that are in current Titan builds now. And then they moved on to the capstone perks, which are Simmering Flames. When super energy is full, grenade and melee abilities recharge twice as fast. Then there's Cauterize, where enemies brought down by your fire regenerate your health. And then there's Fire Keeper. While standing in a sunspot, you gain an overshield, and Hammer of Soul lasts longer. Now, there's a couple standout perks in here, I think, such as Simmering Flames, where it doubles your grenade and melee recharge. I mean, that's definitely standing out to me.
Yeah, that's gonna be a threat in Crucible. I mean, if a guy's got a super and he doesn't like to use his super, he can just use that to his advantage to faster regen his grenades in melee.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a high enough strength build along with some intellect and discipline to go with it, I mean, you could almost treat that as a secondary super.
It would be dangerous for sure.
Cauterize is pretty nice too, because it regenerates your health, but then again, it's bringing up that nomenclature of enemies brought down by your fire again, and I guess I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, taking down enemies with fire doesn't seem like much of a challenge, but I don't know if that counts for if you punch them to death with a melee or if they have to burn to death.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the questions I'm trying to figure out the answer to, is whether, like, what specifically is brought down by your fire. I mean, you could figure it's like sunspots, enemies standing in the sunspots that you can generate, or like obviously one of the flame grenades. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but there's a lot of not so obvious elements to this subclass, and I don't know. We'll see how it plays. I mean, I'm strictly a hunter, and I might have to make a Titan for this subclass, as this subclass is just really cool.
Yeah, I already have a 34 Titan, so I'm pretty much set to go in that regard, and pretty much 34 all classes, so I'm just looking forward to all of the new subclasses.
The next subclass that they revealed more information about was the Nightstalker for the Hunter, which is going to be my personal favorite. And the grenades for the Nightstalker are the Spike Grenade, which is the Defender Titan's Spike Grenade. There's the Void Wall Grenade, which is the new one that's coming with Nightstalker, which is described as a grenade that creates a horizontal wall of burning void light, which is pretty interesting in play. And then there's the classic Vortex Grenade, which is the same one that Warlocks have. So I think out of those grenades, I think they mentioned during the live stream that they kind of surf.
I'm really looking forward to the Void Wall, honestly.
Void Wall?
It's going to be very unique in a sense where you can create choke points by throwing those grenades and cutting off, so to speak, supply lines, so enemies can't, reinforce anyone else without having to walk through it at least.
Yeah, well, what's nice about all the grenades in this subclass is that they're all kind of point of denial grenades.
Yeah.
What I'm interested to see in Void Wall is when we see that in play a lot, I mean, it does do exactly what it says in the box. It creates a wall of burning void light. It just looks like purple fire. But what I'm interested in is seeing, because that fire didn't look too thick width-wise, so I'm kind of wondering how much damage it does, because could you actually legitimately kill somebody with it if they're paying attention?
I think like what they said for Nightstalker is it's more of a support class for hunters, so I'm thinking, again, it's just to create choke points so people go around it or walk through it and get some minor damage dealt to them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we saw it in play a lot during a lot of the Rift videos, and definitely for something like Rift, that's something that'll be useful.
Yeah, most definitely.
When it comes to jumps, the Nightstalker gets double jump, higher jump, better control, and triple jump, just like the Gunslinger, which I like that because triple jump is my favorite jump, even though people hate me for it. The super for the Nightstalker is Shadow Shot, which is basically you create a bow of void light, and wherever the arrow hits, it will tether your enemies to it, which slows them down, weakens them, and suppresses them. The abilities for this are Bloodbound, where tethered enemies explode when killed. Damage to tethered enemies is shared to all. Black Hole, where the Void Anchor has increased range, lasts significantly longer, and can tether more targets. And Quiver, where you fire Shadow Shot up to 3 times, and Void Anchors have reduced range. So this subclass is kind of hard to talk about, I'll admit, because it's so different from all of the other subclasses that are available.
Oh yeah, and this seems more of like, again, just a support build, but I guess with Shadow Shot, it can be more of an up-close offensive build, especially with the ability to shoot 3 with 1 super. Because even if the range is reduced, if you're good enough with the aim, those are 3 potential kills right there.
Yeah, I guess one thing I noticed is when we just got finished talking about that last ability, which was the quiver ability. Before, that said that you could fire it 3 times, but 2 of them would be explosive. And now it says you can fire it 3 times, but it doesn't mention anything about explosions. So
I'd rather it not have an explosion, but still have the ability to tether people, because, if you can tether someone, you can just tether them down and toss a couple grenades at them and just be done with it.
yeah, that's true. Now that you actually mentioned that, I guess tethering somebody and tossing a vortex grenade on them, that would be pretty incredible.
That would chew away at them.
Next up we have the Nightstalker melee, which isn't really a melee, it's actually another grenade, and it is a smoke grenade, which is able to slow and disorient those who are trapped within it. And the abilities that you can have for this are Envenomed, which adds a toxin that damages enemies within the smoke. Vanish in Smoke, which is my personal favorite, where you and your allies near the smoke explosions will vanish from sight. And then there's Snare, which allows smoke to stick to surfaces, detonating when enemies are near. So, Nightstalker is not going to have a melee, but this smoke grenade is easily my favorite thing about this entire subclass.
Oh, yeah.
And I do have to say that I am absolutely excited beyond all means for Vanish in Smoke, because I love my Blade Dancer, and I love going invisible. And the fact that I can now toss a smoke grenade at my feet and run away is a dream come true.
I'm going to stick to Envenom, because going back to the tether, you can easily tether someone down and just toss a smoke grenade at them, and maybe they'll die, but if they don't, they'll be weak enough to where you can just pop them in the head and they'll just die like that.
Yeah, I guess one thing that we still don't have the answer to is in a lot of videos showcasing the smoke grenades, we see people take damage while they're inside of them most of the time anyway, so I'm wondering if Envenomed might add more damage to that. I think one of the people on the stream, I believe his name was Claude Jerome, had mentioned that it doubles down on the damage of a smoke grenade. So maybe smoke grenades do already do damage, but I guess we'll have to find out, and if they do already do damage, it'll be interesting to see how much more it does with Envenomed.
Yeah, when Taken King releases, I'm going to run a couple of tests with and without it to see if it does damage without Envenom, and if it does, how much more damage does it do with Envenom.
Yeah, and next in the subclass trees, it's the standard hunter perk builds. And then there's Courage of the Pack, where killing tethered targets increases recovery and armor for you and nearby allies, and that stacks up to 5 times. There's Light of the Pack, where killing tethered targets creates orbs of light for your allies. And then there's Lockdown, where grenade and smoke effects last twice as long, allowing strong territory control. So these are definitely absolute signs of this being a pure support class. I mean, things like killing tethered targets increases the recovery and armor for you and allies, and that can stack 5 times. I mean, imagine that in like a strike where you're surrounded, you toss a void bow down, kill all the red bars, and now you and your allies suddenly have 5 stacks of armor and recovery increases.
That's going to be certainly useful.
And then things like, if you do the Croto raid on hard mode and people need orbs to regenerate health, killing tethered targets creates orbs of light for your allies. Tether a few small enemies, create some orbs. So that's nice. I mean, all of these are really, really good perks. And then there's ones like Lockdown, too, all throughout the tree that are kind of more selfish. But, I mean, hey, selfish sometimes isn't all bad.
If you can be the last one standing but be selfish, you might as well do that.
Yeah, that's true. If you can be the last one alive, I mean, that's definitely something you could do. And then we have the capstone perks, which are Keen Scout, where you sprint and sneak faster. You gain enhanced tracker and the ability to mark enemies you damage. We have Predator, where void arrows fired from the shadow shot become traps that stick to surfaces and wait for prey. And then we have Shade Step, which is you press circle circle, or I guess that would be what, X,
BB
X,
or circle.
Would it be XX or BB on Xbox? So that's terrible. You know we play too much PlayStation and we don't know what an Xbox controller looks like.
Well, I mean, I've grown to the PlayStation. I mean, I used to play on 360, but then I was like, my friends have a PlayStation. Let's go there and see what that's like.
I think it's BB. But you press either circle circle or BB to evade, which is a lot like a roll, and if you've seen the evade armor ability in Halo Reach, it's a lot like that.
It's similar to that, but you get like this smoky wall around you as you do it.
Yeah, and we also don't know yet, I don't think, whether or not it has any like frames of invincibility or anything. I would doubt it, because that might be a little too powerful, but it might buff your health a little bit, kind of like a super health buff.
Yeah, I was going to say it might buff your armor and health a little bit as you do it.
Out of all the capstone perks, I mean, the one I think I'll probably be using the most is Keen Scout, because I just love the fact that you can not only mark targets that your teammates will be able to see, but you can also gain an enhanced motion tracker, which I don't think we've seen this in action yet. I
think I came across a video back when they were showcasing Rift where someone was using enhanced motion tracker.
Yeah, I do think I've seen something about it somewhere where it kind of looks like, if you look at your motion tracker now, it's separated into different pie slices. And I believe what it does is it creates more of those slices so you know precisely where people are rather than if they're to your left or right or below or above. It'll tell you more precisely at the degree that they are. I think that's just going to be my main perk in that tree there, just because it's so hunter-like, I guess. It really fits kind of the role that I want to play as a hunter.
Yeah, I agree. I'll probably be sticking to that one as well.
And moving on to the last subclass, it is the Stormcaller for the Warlock. And they are given the Pulse Grenade, which is essentially the Titan's Pulse Grenade. They're given the Storm Grenade, which is pretty interesting. When you toss it down, it creates kind of like a miniature thunderstorm, and it shoots down lightning on wherever the grenade hits. And then they have the Arc Bolt Grenade, which is the same thing as the Hunter's Arc Bolt Grenade. When it comes to jumps, it's basically the standard Warlock jumps, which are glide, focus control, focus burst, and balance glide. And the Stormcaller's super is called Storm Trance, where you chain arc lightning from your hands, and everybody likes to compare it to Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. I can't say that's a unfair comparison. The abilities you can get for this are Landfall, where on casting Storm Trance, you fire a bolt of lightning into the ground, creating a devastating shockwave under you. And then there's Superconductor, which doubles your Storm Trance lightning's chaining capabilities, and Ionic Blink, where you press L3 to teleport during Storm Trance.
Just can't not have Blink.
You just can't not have Blink. Now, I do think it's better that Blink exists only in the Super. And I guess they already said they're nerfing Blink, but we don't know what that nerf is yet.
I think they're going to make it so that it has a longer charge up time.
But, yeah, just can't seem to avoid the Blink. For the melee, Stormcaller Warlocks are going to have Thunderstrike, which delivers an electrocuting arc melee strike at extended range. And from what I've seen, it's the longest range melee in the game, besides throwing knives. So that's a thing, because warlocks definitely need a longer melee range. The abilities you can get for this are Chain Lightning, where your Thunder Strike chains to another nearby enemy. Then there's Amplitude, where your Thunder Strike has greater range, and Rising Storm, where hits with Thunder Strike charge your super ability and melee energy. So, besides the range of Thunder Strike, I mean, these perks are pretty solid. I do like Chain Lightning, especially if you're on a Arc Burn or something, where you can actually kill two things instantly with your melee. I mean, I don't think Amplitude belongs, because it serves to increase the range of Thunderstrike, which is already the highest range melee in the game.
Yeah, I don't understand why they keep giving warlocks ungodly ranged melees.
I don't know, maybe it just annoys us because we don't main a warlock, but moving on past the standard ability amplifiers, we have Pulse Wave. When critically wounded, trigger a Pulse Wave that boosts speed for you and your allies. We have Feedback, where incoming melee attacks fully recharge and intensify your Thunder Strike. And we have Transcendence, when cast with full grenade energy and melee energy. Storm Chance restores your health to full and drains slower. So these are all perks that I think are pretty fantastic, that work very well with the rest of this subclass. Pulse Wave is probably the most terrifying out of all of those.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It makes their super have a longer range.
So I mean, these are all really solid. It'd be hard to pick between different ones. They're all really good. And then the capstone perks of this tree are Electrostatic Mind, where Storm Trance charges faster when allies are near. When Storm Trance is active, nearby enemies take damage. Then we have Arc Web, where enemies damaged by your grenades chain deadly lightning to nearby enemies. And then Perpetual Charge, where grenade kills restore or recharge your melee, and melee kills recharge your grenade. So that sounds pretty nice, but I don't know that I'd take that over something like Electrostatic Mind, where your super will charge faster when you're near allies, especially if you're playing something like Control. Plus, when you're in Storm Trance, enemies that aren't even being hit by you will take damage. So, I mean, that sounds like the winner there.
Yeah, I have no doubt that warlocks are going to be using that one.
I shudder to face a Stormcaller in Trials. Although I guess they don't have self-res.
Well, they still have it, but it's not in that subclass. I have a feeling that in PvP scenarios, people are still going to use Sunsinger. Because it seems, while Stormcaller could be used in PvP, it seems more likely that they'll stick to what they know until they know Stormcaller enough.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, all of these are going to be new to us when we start. So I guess out of the 3 new subclasses, if we can put our biases behind us, would you say that Nightstalker is still the winner here?
Yeah, and it's not because I main a hunter, but it's because their abilities coincide with each other, and they benefit each other more so than, say, the other subclasses' abilities do.
Yeah, I mean, the support potential of the Nightstalker is through the roof. I mean, it'll be interesting to see the interactions with different activities and things like that, with the different types of support mechanics that subclass offers. I do have to say, though, that the Sunbreaker Titan is really hard to resist right now.
Yeah.
Especially after seeing the stream.
While I do favor the Nightstalker, I do really want to play as a Sunbreaker.
And that's not to say that the Stormcaller is a weak subclass.
It's just an overpowered one.
It's just one that we might hold a grudge towards. So, yeah, I think that pretty much does it for us here. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, we pretty much covered everything.
All right, well, like we said, when Bungie uploads the footage of the Twitch reveal, we'll make sure to link it in the description so that you can go watch that. It's a really, really, really good watch, especially if you're interested in seeing kind of how these different subclasses play with each other. But I guess for now, keep your light safe, Guardians, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.